I thought what I'd do today is spend a few minutes discussing the fund and some of the problems that we had to address, answer rhetorically some of the obvious questions that come up when anyone talks about this unique experiment in American history, and then take questions from the audience and give everybody sort of a sense of what this was all about. Most of you know about the fund. 11 days after 9/11, Congress passed a law, signed by the president, bipartisan support. And the law simply said, it was one page. It was debated a long time in the Congress, about 8 hours. No hearings, passed a very emotional time. And the law simply said that anybody who lost a loved one as a result of the 9/11 attacks, airplanes, World Trade Center, Pentagon, or anybody who was physically injured, could voluntarily waive their right to litigate. Don't sue the airlines. Don't sue the World Trade Center. Don't sue the security card companies. Don't sue Port Authority of New York. Don't sue Massport. Don't sue the security guard companies. Don't sue Boeing Aircraft. Instead, waive your right to sue. Come into this no-fault administrative fund. You don't have to, but if you want to come into the fund, within 60 days after your application is complete, you will be given a tax-free check from the U.S. Treasury. No private money. This is all taxpayer funded. Now, that was the program. That was it. Over 33 months. Oh, and the program, the statute said, how will the program work? How will it be administered? How will it be designed? We don't know. One person will design it, implement it, administer it, no appeals, no courts, and that person will be appointed by the President of the United States and the Attorney General of the United States. That's it, and good luck. What's the appropriation? No appropriation. Whatever it costs, whatever the award should be, the special master will authorize it out of petty cash from the U.S. Treasury. That's it. Astounding. Never been a program like that, ever, in American history. Well, so I was appointed. The president, the attorney general called up. Ken, we want you to do this. Will you do it? Yes, of course I'll do it. Anybody, people in this audience, all would do it. Albert Ratner would do it. Anybody would do it. If you're asked, you do it. President of the United States, you don't say no to the President of the United States and the Attorney General so soon after 9/11. You do it. So over 33 months, we administered the program. Now, statistically, the program was a stunning success, much to the surprise of everybody, really. 97% of all eligible families and victims entered the program. 94 people decided to sue rather than come into the program. That's all. 94. Today, as we meet here, there are only 42 people still suing in U.S. court in New York City. Everybody else came into the fund or settled out, except 9 families. 9 families did nothing. They never entered the fund. They never filed a lawsuit. They let the statute expire. They never did a thing. I met with most of them, overcome by grief, clinically depressed, paralyzed. They did nothing. Mrs. Jones, you only have 3 months. The statute's going to run out. You better file your claim on behalf of your dead son. You'll get probably $3 million. And you better file. Mr. Feinberg, I lost my son, and you're here to give me money? Leave the application on the kitchen table. I have no interest. I can't get out of bed, and you want me to file a claim and get paid? Mrs. Jones, you don't understand. File the claim. Set up a foundation in your son's memory. Well, thank you. Go away. Never filed. 9 people. I learned a lot about grief. 9 people were so paralyzed, they couldn't get out of bed, and they never filed a claim. Everybody else filed except the 94 people who sued. And that's the way the program, so statistically, now, how much did we spend of your money, the taxpayers' money? A little over $7 billion. Billion was paid to 5,300 claims. There were 7,300 who filed. 2,000 were ineligible for reasons that I'll explain. 5,300 received checks from the U.S. Treasury. The range of award, the average payment for a death claim turned out to be about $2 million per claim. 2,983 dead. The average award for a physical injury claim, about $400,000. There weren't many physical injury claims on 9/11. You either got out of those planes and buildings or you didn't. The number of physical injury claims on 9/11, less than 3 dozen. Total. Burn victims, mostly. But all these doctors that were called in, code red, triage, hospitals ready for the overflow of the injured. There were no injured. A couple of dozen people. The great bulk of the physical injury claims that I paid, over 2,000 of them, were all responders who cleaned up that guck down at the World Trade Center and had all these respiratory injuries that manifested themselves. Those claims we paid for work done days, weeks, months after 9/11. But one time I did it when a lady came to see me and very emotionally explained how they had gone to the funeral of her husband and they had buried the wrong body. Families, I think I modified and raised pain and suffering 5 times. One time I did it when a lady came to see me and very emotionally explained how they had gone to the funeral of her husband and they had buried the wrong body. And on that one, it was just horrifying. We found out afterward that her actual husband had lived for 4 days screaming, "Where is my wife?" And the police made a misidentification, and he died without ever seeing her, and they buried the wrong body. And then they had to disinter, and it was horrible. So on that, but there were a few just beyond belief where we adjusted the non-economic, but for the most
for 9/11. I mean, I don't think that there's one person in this room whose lives haven't been. Shouldn't the government be sued into bankruptcy for not having protected all of us on that day?
A couple of comments. First of all, your first point, why not everybody get a check? I don't know. Congress decided to just give these people compensation. Now be very careful about making the argument that the government's at fault. Understand that the government, in setting up this program, never once stated that it was at legal fault. Never once, even 5 years later, has the government said that this was anything other than a sneak military attack by fanatics, and we're not legally responsible for what happened. This was not reparations. When the German government gives $5 billion to victims of the Holocaust, we're at fault, says the German government. When Ronald Reagan signed that law in 1981, we'll give $20,000 to every family member of Japanese citizens interned during World War II after Pearl Harbor on the West Coast. We apologize. That was wrong. Here's $20,000 each. Here, we'll set up a compensation fund, but don't expect us to say we are at fault. We weren't at fault, and we're not going to pay on the basis of fault. So you make 2 points. One, why not everybody get a check? Why not, I suppose? Or nobody get a check. That's one of the arguments.